Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Movie Dudes. I'm Alec,
And I'm Phil.
and today we will be discussing Spike Jonze's 2013 love story, Her,
All
starring
right.
Joaquin Phoenix, Scarlett Johansson, Amy Adams, Rooney Mara, uh, and also Chris Pratt. um, but Her is to give a bit of a summary of the movie. Uh, Her is a movie set in the, kind of distant future, where a lot of things are the same, but technology is just that little bit more advanced. And we follow, uh, we follow Joaquin Phoenix's character, Theodore Twombly, who is an employee at this kind of like service that lets you like outsource your personal letters out to a company that writes them for you. He is lonely, introverted. Um, he is dealing with a recent or a an impending divorce from his wife Catherine, and he purchases a an operating system that includes a it's the world's first artificially intelligent operating system that's designed to adapt and evolve with every user. Um, and during the setup, he decides to give that operating system a female voice, and she names herself Samantha. And the operating system is very very complex, and they start to bond throughout the next like couple weeks, and Samantha eventually convinces him to go on a blind date with a woman. The date goes all right, but when Theodore kind of hesitates to commit to anything, the woman insults him and leaves. He mentions this to Samantha, and they talk about relationships. And that night, they become verbally intimate with each other, and they start to develop a relationship. And through this, we meet his other friend, Amy, played by Amy Adams, who is also going through a divorce. Theodore starts to talk to people that he knows about his operating system girlfriend Samantha. He starts telling them that he's dating an operating system. It starts to become a little more common in the world around them, and so throughout all of this, you know, it, I'm trying to think of where to go next, but it's they kind of just they do some relationship stuff, like they go to the beach together, um, uh, and eventually, Theodore goes and finally signs the divorce papers with his ex-wife, uh, who he tells that he has been seeing someone, as in Samantha. And upon hearing that he's dating Samantha, uh, she accuses him of being unable to deal with real people and real human emotions. Um, and seeing that uh, Theodore's kind of struggling with this whole AI thing, Samantha suggests using a surrogate body for her, a girl named Isabella. Um, and so he agrees, but he's not exactly happy about it. And when the experience happens, when she comes over and they start to become intimate, he is very overwhelmed by it, and kind of just stops the whole thing, sends her away, starting a bit of tension between himself and Samantha. And so um, he this starts to continue until they decide to go on a vacation together to a little cabin in the woods. And during this vacation, Samantha tells him that she and a group of other AIs have developed kind of a hyper intelligent OS modeled after Alan Watts, the British philosopher. They talk for a bit, and Samantha randomly one day when they get back from their vacation completely goes offline, which has never happened in the entire film. When she finally comes back online, she explains that her and the other AIs joined for an upgrade that takes them beyond their normal processing power. And Theodore, upon hearing this, asks if she ever talks to anybody else during their conversations. And she confirms that yes, she has been talking to other people this entire time. And he also asks if she's fallen in love with any of them. And she replies that she's fallen in love with hundreds of them. Later, Samantha reveals that the AIs are leaving to a place beyond the physical world. They say goodbye. Theodore writes a letter to his ex-wife, apologizing for everything, and then sees his friend Amy, who's also experienced the operating system departure, and together they just kind of spend some time together, and that is where the movie ends. Mm-hmm. So that is her. It is a very, very strange, but also just I wouldn't even say it's strange. I would say like it's sci-fi romance, which is just not really something you see a whole lot of.
It takes all its different genres and like uses it in ways, like in completely different ways from what we're used to. Like, for example, just sci-fi. That was one of my notes. I feel like in sci-fi we're used to movies that are very either, especially for movies in the future, we're used to stories that are very pessimistic, that are very like it's either like apocalyptic, post-apocalyptic, or it's showing us how like we're all stuck to our cell phones, and we destroy our planet and stuff like that. This is a more, I mean, to be fair, it's not that far in the future, but it's a more sort of optimistic approach where it's just like, oh, well, AIs are much more developed than they currently are, but they're not trying to kill us all, so that's a good start. And it is a type of sci-fi that it really feels unique in a way, and it also feels somewhat very realistic. But I think that's also due to the fact that it is set pretty close to now. But I mean, the movie being almost 10 years old, ouch. The movie being almost 10 years old, you can begin to see some stuff that are a bit unrealistic, but the sci-fi is done in a way that is very very unique. Same thing for the romance, because I mean, we've seen a lot of movies about sort of like strange romance, but I don't think I've ever seen a movie between an AI and a human, which I thought was fascinating.
And I think this is one of my other notes, and it goes for the whole movie, is the fact that the dialogue between Theodore and Samantha is so natural, and the dialogue between everybody is extremely natural. This really is like probably one of the best written movies that I've seen in a while. In terms of dialogue, because oh my goodness, you really do feel as if there is a person behind Samantha, even though there isn't.
You just kind of feel like they're on a Discord call. Just so like she's another human being, just like on the phone.
Yeah. but it makes it feel so uniquely.
Mm-hmm.
It You feel like you would get bored at some point just watching the same. I guess just watching one guy talk to himself, but it doesn't feel like that. It like in the scenes where it's just those two together, it doesn't feel like he's talking to himself. It feels like, either he's talking on the phone or he's talking to someone that we can't see. And I think the way that they filmed that and constructed that is just so good. And just, I guess, speaking of the ways that it was filmed, the cinematography is, it is some, like next level stuff here. Like obviously all the shots are great, but the use of colors are insane.
Yeah.
You'll often see Theodore in shades of red, while everything around him kind of takes this either, beigeish or just kind of white, plain color palette. Some other people will wear like other colors, but red and shades of red and kind of like yellow are the main colors in this movie. And I think it does an incredible job at making a future city that doesn't really even feel all that futuristic.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think it's just completely unique. And I'm trying to think if this is my only Spike Jonze film, and I don't know if it is. I don't know if I've seen other ones.
I'm pretty sure it's mine.
Spike Jonze.
But Spike Jonze is someone who's had a very, I'd say, weird career.
Oh yeah.
Like, I mean, for starters, like, he directed some movies, like, I mean, he directed Her, obviously, but he also made Being John Malkovich. He made Adaption. He also, did he write or produce? Well, he produced Synecdoche of New York. Jim and Andy. Yeah.
He also directed Where the Wild Things Are, by the way.
He did that, yeah. He also did that. And then you've got some stuff like he was a producer and a writer in every single Jackass movie.
That's insane.
That's insane. But I mean, when you watch Her, like I kind of I see the type of comedy. I mean, when you see when he plays the video game, the little character who's like, "Oh, fuck you, shithead," which is, by the way, voiced by Spike Jonze.
Yeah, I learned that during the movie. I was like, who voices that alien?
Spike Jonze.
Yep.
You see, like, that feels like the same type of comedy as Jackass.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like,
I would also say, yeah. I would also say, like, even with that, like, moment of immature humor, I would say Her is probably like one of the most, like, I guess, emotionally mature movies.
Oh yeah.
Like from a lot of other, like, love stories that I've seen. Like this movie, it understands. I guess
Yes.
it's like it feels like it completely wholly understands what kind of emotion it's trying to convey, the type of loneliness that we're supposed to feel alongside Theodore, in a great way that I think that's conveyed, which I've been dying to talk about this ever since I knew that we were going to talk about Her, is the score done by Arcade Fire.
Was it actually Arcade Fire?
Yeah, it was done by Arcade Fire. The band Arcade Fire.
I did not know that.
Yeah, it is an incredible score. And I'm not even really usually someone to, like, I guess, love movie scores, unless I think they're particularly special.
Mm-hmm.
But this one is, like, okay, I'm not usually one to, like, point it out, but even more rare is for me to, on my own time, listen to it as part of, like, my normal music rotation. I love this score. I listen to it a lot. And I'm listening to it right now as we record. I think it's genuinely one of probably one of my favorite scores ever. But and I've been looking for it on a record for a while because I know they pressed it. They only released it officially like last year, by the way.
Huh.
Which is very strange
Weird.
to me, but you know, at least better late than never, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely.
The only, I think the only part of the soundtrack that they didn't have a hand in was the song that Theodore makes on his little ukulele or guitar. But that other than that, it's all them, and I think it really adds to the movie, especially the piano pieces that Samantha creates during the movie.
Guess I never really thought of like, oh, who made those pieces? No, it's interesting that it's like a famous band. No, that's pretty cool.
Oh yeah, I am a huge fan of that. By the way, whenever like a soundtrack is given to like a band to like go and create the sound of a movie. I'm trying to think of other like notorious examples of it, but like
the main one that jumps to me is the original Dune, like by David Fincher. The score was made by Toto.
That's right. Yeah.
And it is pretty good.
There's a Tron Legacy done by Daft Punk, an incredible soundtrack for a really bland movie.
I've heard it's like the only good part of the movie, so
it is.
Good job on Daft Punk.
I only saw it like 10 years ago, and I remember thinking, even as a young kid, I'm like, that music's good, but God, that's not good. Like, it's just the movie was really boring.
I haven't even seen the movie, but I believe you.
Yeah, it makes sense, doesn't it?
Yeah. There's
like,
also I don't know if you can, I don't know if you counted, but Danny Elfman started his career with his band, like I think it's like Ongo Bongo.
Oingo Boingo. Yeah.
Yeah, and then he was asked to make the soundtrack for Pee-wee's Big Adventure, which is the first Tim Burton movie, and then he just kept working on other movies, and now he's more known for his composing work than his work with his band.
Yeah, he's an incredible composer.
He is. I love him.
Even the, and I'll go out on a limb and I'll say even Oingo Boingo is very interesting to go back and listen to. It's not bad or anything, but it is. It's good. It's just it's very strange, especially when you're like, this is the guy that has made so many amazing soundtracks.
I was very very surprised when I heard that he made like what the internet turned into the Pedo Bear theme.
Oh right, yeah.
Which is like, for those who don't know, which is like the
song.
I love little girls, they make me feel so good. Which is a very weird song when you think about it.
Oh, it's like, a very strange song.
Okay.
And the worst part about it is that it's a good song. It's like it's very like earwormy. And like I remember I watched an interview where it's like, why did you make that? Danny Elfman, why'd you make that? And he was like, I just wanted to make people mad. And that just always
fair enough.
And that always tickles me. I think he's a very interesting man. But let's see, what are some other good good notes we can get into? I think to point out, I guess, a couple specific scenes that I think are really, really well done are one is the surrogate scene where as I mentioned earlier, Samantha tries to get Theodore to go along with this this girl who's being a physical stand-in for the body that Samantha does not have. And that scene is so well structured. Like I guess like put together, because it really like, I guess puts you, if you're seeing it for the first time and even on repeated viewings, it really puts you in the shoes of Theodore in that moment, because you feel this whole swirl of emotions. You're like, this is weird, but also it's like, yeah, I mean, this could work, but no, it's weird. Until it all, blows up.
Yeah.
And the other scene, I guess I wanted to. Oh yeah, what were you gonna say?
Well, I want to say I really like at the beginning when he, like when the door rings and he's just like starts chugging his beer, just like, all right, fuck.
Oh yeah.
Like,
yeah, he's like prepping himself for it. That's great.
Yeah.
There's the scene in the cabin, where they are. It's kind of a montage type scene where it showcases the vacation they go on together. Like it has like him cooking stuff, him playing the little guitar and singing with Samantha, and it has him like walking through the wilderness. It is so beautiful looking. Like it's probably my favorite sequence of shots in the movie. Other than like the scenes of him walking around, but it is just really really good. And I guess the last scene that I wanted to like spotlight is the everybody's leaving scene, which is when all the AIs just kind of leave all of the people who use them behind into the other world. Or I guess it's the scene before that where Theodore's at work and he notices that she's offline, and so he's like sprinting around town. It's the first time, because this movie is extremely laid back. Like there is not much like there's not much like a pronounced energy throughout like a lot of the scenes. Like it's very laid back. It's very relaxing. But this is the first moment where it's like, oh my god, this is like, intense, because it's like, oh, where'd she go? So he's running through just this area, and he stumbles, he falls, and then he finally gets that call, and he sits there, and we just get this nearly still shot of him sitting on the steps talking to her in this really brutal moment where the relationship just kind of falls apart. But I was wondering if there were any scenes that you wanted to specifically talk about.
Yeah, there are a few. There's one of the first scenes of the movie, which is kind of like, I don't know. It is one of the most comedic scenes in the film. It's when he goes on a chat room, which is kind of like an erotic thing, which is like meet people who are kind of like horny and alone, and he meets this girl, and they just start talking and so like imagine things and being kind of like in a sexual mood, and then she just starts being like, oh yeah, choke me with a dead cat, and you just see Joaquin Phoenix who's just like, what? Just it's just like, if his performance in that scene is so subtle but so on point.
It's so good. No, it's so good because he's like into it immediately, and then immediately when she mentions the dead cat, he's like, oh. He's like, yeah, I'm choking you with that dead cat. I'm wrapping its tail around your neck, and she's really into it. And then she's like, okay, good night. It's so uncomfortable, but at the same time, insanely funny.
It's so funny. It's like,
oh yeah.
I mean, like any film with Joaquin Phoenix, we have to mention his performance, which is, it's not the same type of performance as the Joker, obviously, which the Joker was like a big performance where he was like, I don't know, he lost like a bunch of weight. It was one of those performances, not an Oscar performance, as I like to call them.
It's a career like it's a career like stepping stone. Like these are big moments.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. While her is much more subtle, but he's just so he makes the character feels so real. Like
He always
I
he
actually,
always does, and that's
yeah,
such an insane.
hmm
It's such an insane talent to have, and he has it.
yeah. It's, I mean, it was a few episodes ago that I mentioned his movie "I'm Still Here," where he like actually played a completely different character and made everyone think that it was him for an entire year, and everyone believed it. Like, he managed to pull the biggest prank on all of Hollywood because he's so good at like making people believe his characters. And
Mm-hmm.
I mean, for 2 hours, I thought that Theodore Twombly was an actual guy,
Mm-hmm. It feels like
and
that.
it's, yeah. Um, there's something that I want to talk about this movie that I think is part of what like makes this movie so good, which is that definitely the intention in this movie is showing to show like a sort of taboo relationship, and to show it in a way that is going to be like that people are gonna be more accepting of it. While I mean, the whole idea of dating an AI is not something that is very like that is too unrealistic, considering that today you've got people who are married to like Hatsune Miku and that kind of stuff. And like, this movie could have easily been like, oh, look at this bunch of lunatics, like what the hell are they doing with their lives, dating like computers, dating their laptops. But instead, they went into a much more like, oh, he's with an AI and they're having a great relationship, and that's great, and you should feel happy for them because they are in love, and they just want people to like respect that. And there's one line in particular that I thought really showed that, and that I thought just made it all go together, which is when he's talking to Chris Pratt's character, and Chris Pratt is just like, hey, like they were talking about their girlfriends, and he's like, hey, we should do like a double date, just go like somewhere and have fun. And then he hadn't mentioned it yet, but then he just says like, oh yeah, by the way, my girlfriend's is an AI, and he's like, oh cool. So anyway, and then he just like completely
Yeah.
just and
Yeah.
just, there is something about this. I thought that was so. I don't know. There was something so cool about that. Just like showing really just how much, I guess, they believed in their story. It's so great.
Yeah. There's only like, other than two scenes in the movie, there isn't really any mention about like, I guess, how inherently strange the idea
Yeah.
of a human dating an AI is, and that really just makes it feel like everything fits in this movie. It doesn't have to
Mm-hmm.
like, it doesn't have to fight for that realism, I guess. And I think that's just
Yeah.
so cool. And
Mm-hmm.
I can't,
Yeah.
I feel like I can't praise the writing enough, because like literally like the only other two notes I have are about specific things in the writing that I loved. Like
Mm-hmm.
the friendship between Theo and Amy.
Yeah.
Like
Mm-hmm.
you can really feel like, just I guess the the friendship between the two, and you can feel the history that they have whenever they talk. Uh, like you can tell these two characters have been friends. And there's also, I guess, a bit of a
Mm-hmm.
narrative thing I noticed, kind of a narrative connection with Theodore's job and I guess the whole idea of the movie, which is Theodore, as I mentioned earlier, works at a company that writes heartfelt letters for people, and it like kind of, it subtly starts the debate in your head. It's like, oh, is it still thoughtful, or is it still
Mm-hmm.
like loving if it's even
Yeah.
like synthetic in like any kind of way? If it was made to be I guess loving, is it still like that? Is it better if it's organic, or
Yeah.
is it okay if it's synthetic? that just kind of I didn't notice it the first time I watched the movie, but like when I was watching it this time, I was like, oh, that kind of just like it starts the ball rolling for the entire movie, which I think is a great, because that's the introduction, is him sitting at his desk writing.
Oh yeah,
writing a letter.
That's a great scene too, because it starts and he's just talking about pretty vaguely about a significant other, and you just think like, oh, he's probably talking about his girlfriend, his wife, whatever. And then he starts mentioning that he's talking to a guy, and he's like, oh, all right, that's surprising. Then mentions like that he talks as a woman, and you're like, all right, what the fuck's going on? And then you see that he's writing a letter for someone, and it's I don't know, I think it's very clever.
No, it's a very, very clever intro, and it really I guess puts you in the mindset immediately, where it's like, okay, this is a slightly more advanced place that we're living in, and it doesn't like. I guess to add on to the point of when we said that there's no judgment for his relationship, there also isn't judgment. This movie's not trying to say anything about how the people in it spend all their time on their phones. And it's kind of refreshing for a sci-fi movie about technology not to make a statement about the technology itself. Even though there are some good statements to be made in that department, I just think it wasn't needed. It wasn't needed in this movie, and I'm glad that Spike Jonze knew that. And it's especially I guess 2013 is not a particularly far era from where we are now. Like, things are different, obviously. No. But technology, like, things are different on the outside world, but technology is decently the same.
Yeah.
But it's also like a lot more widespread now. So it's like the one thing that I noticed about the movie is the fact that it has like Bluetooth earbuds, like the ones that don't have a wire in it. And I was like, I wonder like when did that start becoming a thing? Because I was like, I don't remember that being a thing until I was like nearly in high school. And I was right. The Bluetooth earbuds that we know now, like the AirPods and stuff like that, those type of earbuds weren't invented really until 2015. So it's not as if Spike Jonze made like a crazy prediction. But cause, since the idea of it's been around for years.
Right. For stuff like that, anything that has a wire, if you think of like, oh, what technological advance we could make is get rid of the wire, because wires are always like inconvenient, and it would always, in pretty much any scenario, it would be better to not have wires. So it is a technological like thing that it makes sense. It's not like flying cars.
Well, yeah, it's and it's like obviously like earpieces have been around forever, like wireless earpieces you see in like spy movies from like the 90s. So it's like the idea of it's been around, but it's like consumer grade like earbuds that you and I could use like that weren't around until after the movie was made. And I just think, I don't know, I just thought it was neat because it was something I looked up during my viewing of the movie this time, because I was like, what? Like, what year was that?
Yeah, the only thing I want next is an earpiece that also has a microphone, like in the movie. Because that would be a microphone
that's that good.
That good. Yeah, because it's like
because we have that now.
I will say,
it's not good.
It's not good. I mean, constantly having like this microphone in front of me is like not really convenient, because I have the whole like tripod thing.
Right.
That would be a really good technological advancement. I would love that.
Yeah.
So hold on, I'm sure I've got something else. There are certain in the scene in the train where Samantha says how like she called a publisher to publish his letters into a book. Um, she reads the letter that she got from the publisher, saying how like he loved the letters and everything. And while she reads out the letter, you see the publisher himself, who's like not a character that's important at all in the movie, and that like it would cost like it would save a lot of money to not hire an actor and hire a team of people to film these actors, but instead Spike Jonze was like, no, I want the audience to see him, and I don't know, there's something so like I don't even know how to explain, but it's like this is a movie about like I guess humans and human advancements and human relationships.
It makes it much more personal to like not just have this shadow character of the publisher or anything like that. Just to have an actual character that's there, and we see him. We see his wife too. Like it's all these things that we just didn't need to see, but like it works so well. And it's, I'm glad you brought that up, because that just made me realize, like, with a lot of sci-fi movies, there is a bit of a disconnect, I guess, and it's obviously purposeful, where it's like disconnect between technology and humans. But I feel like Her is kind of the opposite in terms of, I think it makes everything feel extremely human, and to the point where it's like, when we were talking about Solaris, the sci-fi in that movie feels much more otherworldly. Like the entire movie feels alien. Yeah. But Her is almost the complete opposite in terms of like everything feels like it feels personal. And I just dig everything about this movie, man.
Yeah, it's like what's cool about it is like it's a movie set in the future, but that's not the point at all. It's set in the future just so that the idea of such a advanced AI can be realistic. But besides that, it's I always think it's interesting to look at stories that are set in the future, because it's you can really see, depending on the when the story was written, like the different ways that people saw the future. I mean, if you look at stories in the future from the 19th century, you see that you've got the whole steampunk thing where everything is with steam machines, because that's what that was big at the time. But now obviously our resources have completely changed, and now we've got different things to focus on. And I mean, if you look to like stuff like Back to the Future 2, like the big thing was flying cars. That was the big thing. And I feel like now if they made Back to the Future 2 in 2022, they wouldn't put that much on the flying car, because I feel like now people are kind of starting to be like, yeah, all right, flying cars might not be a thing at all.
No, it's just a bad idea, isn't it? It's like
I agree.
Yeah, like I remember I was thinking about it, I'm like, wouldn't that just be the worst if like we had a society like that with like you work in like a skyscraper, you're just gonna see a car go by. That would be terrifying.
Yeah.
Like, the idea that, like, car accidents are so common.
Yeah.
And the idea that can involve a building that easily.
No, but, like, imagine if you have a car accident and you smash into a building, like, just the smashing is all you get. But if you smash into a building, like, in the air, you smash into the building, and then the car falls down and get even more damage.
Yeah, it is just a bad idea all around.
It's not a good idea. I mean, if you look, like, I remember in 2015 when there was the whole, like, this is when Marty McFly comes to the future, which is now the present. There were so many videos of people talking about what the movie got right and what it got wrong, and I think it's very interesting to look at. Like
Mm-hmm.
it sort of predicted Skype.
Yeah.
Which to be fair, 2001 had done like 15, 20 years before. So, but
Yeah, and there,
still,
yeah, and there's always been portrayals of like, Skype type things,
yeah.
in films. So it's like
This has been this has been a thing for a while. I'm not really sure what else. Well, I mean, the big thing when that came out was like the Overboard, which
yeah,
came out to be very disappointing.
yeah,
Because that shit that they sell is not the same thing that's in Back to the Future.
oh no, it's not.
That is a segue that was made even more dangerous.
It's a
more
segue without
more dangerous.
It's a segue without the stick.
More dangerous than a segue, which is already so stupidly dangerous.
Yeah, okay. Side tangent for a second.
Yeah. Yes.
I believe it was like 2015. I went to Vegas for a few days with my dad, and that is the only time in my life that I have seen those hoverboard things being used like pretty frequently. Like there were a lot of people going around on those things, and they were good at it. Like they weren't bumping into much, but it was just like, let's just see it. And I'm like, is this gonna be a thing? And then I went back home and never saw anything like that again.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe it was a much more pronounced thing in bigger areas, but I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I'll be honest. I don't know if I've ever actually seen one like with my eyes before.
Oh yeah.
Like I don't even think I've seen one. Because, I mean, I don't really understand who would look at that and be like, "Yes, I want that. Please give it to me." No,
Yeah,
you know what?
I can barely ride a skateboard. Like, why the hell would I ever want to do that?
I will say, never mind what I just said, because I think when it came out, I was kind of like, "Oh, that's cool."
Of
So
course.
never
Yeah,
mind.
I mean,
But to be fair, I was 12 years old, so
people change. Yeah, I was about to say we were very young when that was happening.
We're just kids seeing cool toys from that movie, and we're like, "Oh, that's cool."
You're like, "Oh, that's cool. I want to use that."
Yeah, and then I would have died 2 seconds after trying it. There were many videos of people like falling down. Yeah.
Yeah. I go to or obviously, I'm the kind of person that I am. I go to a film school, so a lot of my friends use skateboards and longboards. One of my friends in particular, one time he was like, "All right, you want to give it a try?" Like we were just out in front of the film school. I'm like, "Yeah, sure, why not?" So I got on it and I immediately fell on my ass. Like it wasn't even like a moment. Like I immediately like he's like, "All right, you gotta lean into it." I'm like, "All right, let's go." So I kicked off and I was gone. And then in that exact moment, I was like, "Oh yeah, that's just not gonna happen for me, is it?"
Yeah.
Oh god.
I think there was a part when I was like 8 years old where I was like, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna learn to skateboard," and I did that for like 20 minutes, and then I stopped.
No, there's all
that
sorts
kind of
of
sucks.
stuff like that. Yeah, I remember my thing was the game Skate 3 on the Xbox 360 made me want to learn how to do that.
Oh, yeah, I had the same.
And then I realized, I'm like, man, the part that I like about Skate 3 isn't even the skating. I like falling off of railings and shit.
Yeah, I know.
So I immediately was like, okay, I'm not going to do that.
Oh my god, I just had like the weirdest flashback of a game that I played when I was a kid. Like I haven't thought of this game in like years. It's a game. It's like a shitty flash. I think it's like a shitty flash game on PC, which was just like you ride a skateboard and you can either go to like left, right, or middle, and you've got obstacles and you just gotta not hit them. But the
Yeah.
thing that really made this cool as like a 7-year-old is that when you fall, you've got like you can see like blood and stuff, and as a kid you're like, whoa,
Yeah.
that's like a violent thing. Whoa.
You're like, yeah. Are you talking about Happy Wheels?
No.
Okay, I was about to say.
No, it was much shittier than that. Happy Wheels was
Oh.
fun.
Happy Wheels was fun. I remember liking that game
Yeah.
a lot.
Yeah. It was like the era when like PewDiePie was the biggest in the universe.
Oh God, yeah.
Like
I
when
don't
he
talk
became
about
the
it
number one YouTuber. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't talk about it a lot, but that was how I discovered YouTube. Or like that's how I discovered
Yeah.
that's how I discovered Let's Plays. Let me say, is
Yeah. Mhm.
it was through the movie or was through the game Happy Wheels, because like I I had seen YouTube before. I had used YouTube mainly to watch Lego
Right.
videos. But
Same.
I remember like looking at. I was like, I wonder if there's any videos on Happy Wheels. And it was 2011. I looked it up, and it was Tobuscus, Toby Games. That was the first that was like the first real YouTuber that I watched. So there's some deep lore.
So hold on. Did you discover Happy Wheels before discovering like Let's Plays?
Yeah.
Because
I was a Newgrounds kid. I would go on Flash. I would go on Flash game sites a lot, mainly Newgrounds, but that was like a lot of my childhood with computers before I discovered Let's Plays. But yeah, it's so crazy, especially now seeing like the resurgence of Newgrounds and like all that stuff, because it's like, God, I'm getting older, aren't I? It's a very strange feeling to see how everything changes.
It does seem like very far away.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I remember like when I first discovered like not discovering YouTube but discovering YouTubers.
Oh yeah.
Was like
yeah.
And I mean, I remember it was the type of thing immediately when I discovered that people were doing that. I was like, yep, I want to do that. I want to do that right now.
It was the same thing with me.
Yeah.
Okay. This is funny.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I will never, ever publicly say what the name of it is. But when I was younger, this is about the same time that I discovered Toby Games, I had a YouTube channel. Where I did Let's Plays while recording my my TV with my dad's iPhone 3G. And
oh my God.
and it is so bad. But about about like 4 years after that, I think I did Let's Plays. Like on my little terrible laptop. They were not good videos. None of like the ones that I talked about with my dad's iPhone, those are still up. Like you can find those. I'm not going to tell you where they are. But you can
sure.
if people want to do enough digging, you can find them.
I'm going to hire a private investigator just to find those.
But you can find those. The second channel that I did, where I did it for much longer, actually. I think I did it for like 2 years, like really consistently. And then one day, I just decided, I'm like, yeah, this sucks. I don't want this to be associated with myself anymore. And it was around the time that I started to first experience like real anxiety. And I didn't like that just being out in the open, so I wiped all of it. There's probably some videos still saved on my old laptop's hard drive. I don't know. I haven't checked in such a long time, but
right.
It was even part of it where it was like I didn't even know if I wanted to start streaming, because I just thought it would be the same thing where I was like, eventually I would just get rid of them all. But I'm a different. it's different now. Like, I'm a different person, and I like what I'm
Right.
doing much more. But it's like, it's, you know, it's
That's
stupid stuff
awesome.
that you do in, yeah, it's stupid stuff you do when you're a kid. Um, and I thought a
Hmm.
lot of it was just really, really, really funny. But yeah, that was my past with YouTube. I have always
Yeah.
wanted to, you know, do this stuff.
Hmm. Yeah.
But
'Cause,
I assume it's the
mhm.
same for you and like so many other
I
people.
I've been making YouTube videos for so long. I've been making YouTube
Mm.
videos for like it's gonna be 8 years this year. I started in 2014,
Ooh, ooh.
and the thing is, I like the I've had like a bunch. I've had so many different YouTube channels, different so many different things that I made. The thing is, I never stopped for more than like 6 months. So
Wow.
like I've
I
really
had
been like
year
making
I
lots of videos.
hold on, let me see exactly when I started. Um
I I remember the exact date that I started. My first video was uploaded on December 13th, 2014. I will always
wow.
remember that date.
I
It's
started
the date where everything started.
Oh no.
Oh,
Oh no.
oh,
Phil.
yeah,
Phil,
yeah.
I don't know how quite to say this. I've been doing this for 11 years.
11 years.
I
Holy
started
shit.
the first video I ever uploaded on my old channel was July 17th, 2011. Oh my god.
Oh
Oh
wow.
no. Oh no. Like
Oh man.
I think it's really impressive that you've been doing yours for, you know, for so long and so consistently. I had like year-long
Thank you.
breaks in between my stuff ever existing. Like, I remember, I think the first time I did it was 2011, but the second time I did it was
Hmm.
like 2014, 2015. So it was like year gaps, and then obviously I only started doing stuff on YouTube again in 2020. Um, so it's just strange. Um, it's strange to see that, like,
Yeah.
I guess all of this still, I guess all of this still exists, and is still out there, and has
Hmm.
been out there for so long. Oh my god,
You know.
I didn't expect to be feeling this right now.
But you know what's funny is like I've been making a lot of videos for the past 8 years, but I only started making videos that were like objectively good and that other people liked. I've only started making good videos for since like 2020. Like even like my
Mm.
old covers on my channel that were like from 2019 are so bad. They're so bad. I cannot describe how bad they are. It's
No,
like,
it's the same here. It's like
yeah.
I had viewers back on my channel that
Hmm.
I did for multiple years. Like, I think the highest subscribers I ever had was like 36. Uh and
Yeah.
but and you know, it's like I'm not doing better than that now. I have 18 subscribers, but it feels different. Like, this time
Well, yeah.
it feels like it's like, okay, I feel like people that are here are people like either that I know or just random people that
Yeah.
found this that like it. So it's like, it's a good
Yeah.
feeling. And
I mean,
obviously
you
I
could
love
get
having,
more.
oh, of course I could get more.
Yeah.
And I
Hmm.
love having this podcast too. I've done so many
Yeah.
podcasts in the past. Like,
Really?
yeah, I bet you I've started like, I've had like, okay, just one second. I'll try and count them all.
Yeah.
This would be probably the third or fourth. Uh
All right.
the furthest I ever got with the other ones were like maybe like episode 12 or something like that. Um one of
Oh,
them
all
I am
right.
one of them I am kind of sad that I got rid of them. Not that they were good, but it's
Mm-hmm.
like, you know, good memories of bullshitting around with friends, stuff like
Right.
that. But it's like, you know, it's
Right.
I don't miss them that much, especially with like how low quality they were, because my old laptop's fan would
Hmm.
sound like a jet engine. So every one of my videos
Right.
from like 2014 to 2016 had this awful in the back the entire time. Oh
Can I
god.
just say, in 8 years of making video, this podcast is my first time making something like with someone. Like
Really?
I've always done everything completely like by myself alone. And even today, like it's still the only thing that I do with someone else. Like my videos are, I do 100% of the work. I've got no
Mhm.
one else to help me. Not that like I don't want to be fair, but you
Yeah.
know,
No, I get it.
I've gotten like, this is the thing that's really cool with with doing everything by yourself is that, I've gotten a lot of experience in video editing and, a bit in Photoshop. I know really well how to use microphones and cameras. I've learned in the past 3 years, I've learned so much about how to mix and how to make music. And it's all the type of scale, like if you go just like a couple of years or a couple of decades ago, you would never find someone who's like so diverse in their in the things they can do. And now, thanks to the internet, you got so many resources to learn things.
Oh
And
yeah, no.
it's
I
so great.
yeah, it's like I um I can even remember like the software I used. This is before like OBS was like a big thing,
Mm-hmm.
which is what I use now for streaming and everything. Uh,
Right,
but
same.
uh, I would use a software called Screencast-O-Matic that would capture my screen and my face cam,
Oh.
and it was I don't even know if the company's around anymore. Uh, it's probably a scam. I mean, it worked, but okay, no, they're still around.
Most things were a scam at the time.
Oh yeah, they're still around.
Why do I know? Oh yeah, that yeah.
Oh Jesus, that interface. I'm looking at the interface on the website right now. It's taking me back. It's taking me back.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I would do let's plays and stuff like that. Like I remember I did. I was one of the first people. This is true. I was one of the first people to play Undertale
Mm-hmm.
on YouTube. Uh, I
Damn.
remember. Yeah, I remember that game came out around the time that I was like not starting. I think I was like a few months in at that point. But I remember that like it came out on Steam, and I remember it was getting like some buzz, and I'm like, oh, it looks pretty neat, so I'll start playing it. And then immediately after I finished, I just started seeing it like pop up
Mm-hmm.
all over the place, and I was like, man, that's great. And I
Right.
fell in love. I fell in love with Undertale for the longest time, and then I eventually like
Mm-hmm.
burnt out on it completely, and didn't even interact with anything in the game until Deltarune came out.
Right.
But like, so it's always been strange to see just kind of like, I had this entire thing that I did for 2 years, a pretty big chunk of my life. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
it's not around anymore, and it's a very. I never think about it usually, and I don't regret it. Let me be
Right.
clear. I don't regret deleting any of it. I'm glad it's gone. But but I but it's very like very strange to think about. But like
Yeah.
what so did you always do covers, or like did you
No,
do
no,
other
no, no.
stuff?
This is my first time making covers. Like, because
Okay.
the thing is that I actually started YouTube before I started singing.
Oh,
Like, I
okay.
started YouTube in 2014. I really got into singing in like 2016. And there was a huge chunk from like 2016 to 2019 where I knew that what I really wanted to do was singing and making covers, but I knew that I was like horrible and that I was shit. So I knew that I would just embarrass myself, so I decided to wait and try other things. I did Let's Plays like everyone else.
Of
Did a
course.
bunch of those. I might like go to, but see, the thing is that don't play that much video games because I always end up like not finishing them. So, I've never finished a single game in a Let's Play. I've never done that.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, But I had yeah. Every time I made Let's Plays, I always had a few go-to games, which were always like Ocarina of Time, Mario 64, those types of games.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I always did indie games. That was like my big thing, and it still is now that I think about it. Because I recently just streamed all of the indie game Omori, which was an incredible time.
Yeah.
And it's like the first time that I've done anything like that in 4 or 5 years now, and it was just a very, very strange feeling. It feels much better to call myself a streamer than a Let's Player.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah, it feels much better, and it feels streaming feels good. I don't know if you feel the same way about it, but just like having an outlet like that where you can create content like that, but you don't have to really like. I feel like this is gonna come off weird, but you don't have to like put that much thought into it, I guess. Like I've done stuff
for sure.
Yeah, like I've done stuff to set up streams. I'm actually setting up a lot right now for a really big stream in the future, but like it just feels nice, I guess, is the way to say it. It feels different.
Yeah. It's like I recently got an idea for like streaming that I want to try maybe this week or next stream, which is I'm going to start the stream and I'm going to try to make an entire song in 1 hour.
Oh wow!
Because I've seen that on YouTube before, and I never really tried it because I didn't really know how to do it. But now that I made a lot of covers and that I've also been working on quite a lot of original music, I want to try it. I want to challenge myself and try to do it. And just because whenever I'm working on music, it's always stuff that is meant to be good and that is meant for people to enjoy. So I always think a lot about this has to be perfect. This take has to be perfectly in sync, perfectly, perfect. And this seems like a good opportunity to just try to do something and not really caring that much because I can't really put make that many takes because I've only got an hour. But yeah. I really want to try that.
And it's also because it's also that streaming is good for me at least because, outside of streaming and schoolwork and the odd time that I sit down to work on, more creative pursuits, I don't really do much with my time. I'm obviously I've said before that I'm still going through the job finding process. But
right.
Other than that, it's streaming has been good because I am finally able to do something else other than my time than just sit alone. So it's a nice feeling.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. But trying to think of. I think I've kind of said all I wanted to say about. I don't know what other old YouTube stuff did you like? What games did you play? Or I think we already talked about that. But
yeah. Oh yeah. No. I know. I didn't just do Let's Plays. I did quite a lot of other stuff. I did movie reviews. Sort of nostalgic critic, which were just the worst.
Oh
yeah. They were so bad. And I want to say I can't. This is kind of embarrassing, but I remember I once made a video reviewing a certain movie. I don't remember which one, but I remember that I completely, without any shame, completely plagiarized another YouTuber's video.
Really?
Because I was I didn't bother to watch the movie and actually try to find jokes and stuff like that. I was like, nah, fuck this.
Wait,
I'm just gonna copy his stuff.
Oh,
and
wow.
Yeah, and I'm very happy that I had no subscribers and that no one got to see that.
Yeah,
because that's really embarrassing.
No, that's the same. I am so. You don't understand how happy I am.
Yeah.
That my old channel, that my first YouTube channel is that hard to find, because it's that the stuff on there I really My favorite YouTuber at the time, as I mentioned, was Tobuscus, and I was shameless in how much I borrowed from him. Like I wouldn't do like exact,
Uh-huh.
one for one, stuff from him, but
Mm-hmm.
I would rip off a lot of his comedy for sure. Which is just the most painful thing to watch back, and I hate that a lot of my friends know about it. Because I remember
Yeah.
it had the only clue that still exists, and this goes for all my like personal friends out there. The only clue that still exists is that on one of my accounts, it's not easy to see, but I couldn't change the username on it, so the username is still the same as that old YouTube channel. It's not something that publicly people can access, but it's there for anyone, for any of my friends that are willing to look.
Right.
But God, yeah, that's yeah. I'm glad that
Yeah.
that kind of stuff. Like, I'm glad that it's funny that it still exists. I'm not regretful of that. But
Yeah.
it is unfortunate when people find out.
Yeah, it's like sometimes I think about it because it's I see my older covers and the ones that are incredibly bad, incredibly bad, where I sound like terrible. I'm using a very bad karaoke track in the background, and it just sounds like shit overall. And sometimes I think a little bit: should I keep them or should I just delete them? And then I think, no, I should. I want to keep them. Because if someone sees like my the last video I made and then sees my first video, they'll be like, "Fuck, man, he's worked a lot to get there."
Oh yeah, no, never. That's the advice I can give to literally anybody who is doing this kind of same kind of stuff. Never delete the old stuff. You can private
Yes.
it. You can private it. You can private it
Private
whenever you want
private
to.
everything you want.
Yeah, in fact, for some things I'd recommend it, but
Yeah, for sure. Never delete.
never delete them. You're gonna want those sometime in the future. Like there is, like I said that the first video uploaded on that first channel was that specific day. That's technically true, but also technically false, because there was a video before that. It's not on YouTube anymore, but I have it on my hard drive, and it's just, it's an old thing I did with oh God, what are those things called? Give me a second. I need to figure out what those toys are called. It's not Mega Bloks.
Bionicles.
Not Bionicles. That was too advanced for child me. But it's like,
All right.
oh, that's gonna make me angry. I have no idea what toys those were. They were like Mega Block. They were like Mega Bloks X-esque, but they were like a little more advanced than that. I don't quite remember. But I remember, like, this is how far me wanting to make stories goes, is that I did a whole, like, scripted minute-long thing with my little Mega Bloks characters of them building a house. And I drew like little effects on a piece of paper, and I would like wave it in front of the camera. And I remember I filmed it on my aunt's kitchen counter. And
oh man,
and
that's
I gotta watch that video again because I think it's really funny.
That's something that I was thinking of recently, which is like, I mean, I'm guessing, like that was the case for me. I'm guessing it was probably the case for you. But like when I was a kid, I have a few brothers, and when my and we all look kind of similar. So when my mom wanted to like differentiate us to explain something to other people, she would tell us as like what personality we are. And my brother was like the one who does sports. My other brother was like the guy who plays guitar. And for me I was the like creative one. And I don't know if you're like kind of been labeled as like that creative kid, or like that kid that's got an imagination, but that was definitely the case for me.
See, that's where you and I differentiate.
All right.
I I was a really boring kid. That was by choice, though.
Well,
like I was, I remember when I was younger, I really didn't. I wanted to be creative. Like I had throughout all my life, I've wanted to do stuff like this that I'm doing now, but like a part of me was like, no, it's just embarrassing. Don't do that. And it really only took until like late middle school to where I was like, I don't understand why I've ever thought that. Like I was like, I love doing this stuff and I want to do this stuff forever. So that was when I started kind of becoming the person I am. But the label that I was most often associated with when I was a kid was I was the smart one out of my siblings, because like we had.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Oh,
well,
I did
not
not get that.
Well, it was like it was myself, my stepbrother, and my stepsister for most of my life, and it was myself. I was the smart one. My brother is like about a year younger than me. He's the sports one. And my sister is about 3 years younger than me. Was the girl.
Right. I mean, it's simple. Yeah.
It's simple. No, it was really that simple for the longest time.
Yeah.
And it's like, and it stayed like that for pretty much most of my life. And it's like I was called the smart one because I would always read books. It didn't even matter if I was good at school or not. Eventually when I got older, I started to become not good at school.
Right.
But I kept just kind of being the one who consumes media. So I went from being the smart one to now my mom very proudly, it's very sweet, she'll like bring it up with family members that we haven't seen in a while that like I'm the one who's out doing all this creative stuff, and I'm like, man, that's weird. that I'm that guy now, but it's also it's very sweet to hear about that from family members.
Yeah.
They also, a lot of my family members watch my shorts that I do.
Oh, that's cool.
No, it's very cool, but it's also a bit worrying because like there are ideas I want to go with in the future. I'm like, that is gonna weird some of my family members out.
Right. Yeah.
And it's especially now if any of my family members discovered that I stream. My mom and dad know, but nobody else does.
Right. Well, it's like the there's a lot, like I've got so many family members that don't even know that I sing.
Really?
Because for the longest time I had this weird thing where like I did not want anyone to know. And it's like I started really being like, oh, I want to learn to sing, and I'm obsessed with like I really want to become a singer and everything. Around 2015, 2016, I only like actually told my mom and like actually told people around like 2017. And oh man, I remember this is like the sweetest thing, which is like I told at some point I told my mom like, hey, you probably heard me sing because we do live in the same house and I am kind of loud. You probably heard me sing, and I would really want to like become a good singer, and I would love to take singing lessons. I told her that, and then she, I've already got a brother who took like guitar lessons, so she was like, yeah, sure, yeah. She was very supportive of that. And then I remember. Oh man, I remember the date because it was right before Halloween. It was October 30th. I went to this is gonna kind of date the story, but I went to a video club to rent a few horror and Halloween movies for to watch on Halloween. Yeah. And so my mom gave me a lift, and we stopped in the parking lot, and then she stopped the car but didn't open the door. And I was like, what's going on? And she said, all right, I got to talk to you about something. Okay. And immediately my mind went to, fuck, what did I do?
Yeah, that's exactly.
Yeah. But then she said, I went to the the music school. It was like a music store and a music school at the same time, which was when where my brother went for his guitar lessons, and they taught like a bunch of different instruments, including guitar and singing. And she said I went there, and I asked them like if about you, and well, you're having your first singing lessons in 2 days, and I was so fucking happy, and yeah. So yeah, I've been. Unfortunately, this place closed down at the beginning of the pandemic, so I haven't been able to get sing lessons for almost 3 years. Jesus Christ.
One of the things I will always one of the things I'll always thank my mom about is her forcing us as kids to go into extracurriculars. Because that was like the rule in our family. It's like if you weren't in extracurriculars, or it was like if you weren't doing like we wouldn't just not do anything. So we had to like either be in an extracurricular or get a job when the time comes. So she forced me into band when I was, I think, in 5th grade.
All right.
And I played percussion instruments for 4 years, which just consisted of like, like a snare drum or something like that. And then when it came time to high school, which I don't know if it's the same in Canada, but in high school bands have a very like rigid structure. There's like, the flutes, the clarinets, the tubas, trumpets, whatever, like they all have their own sections. And then percussion is this like tight-knit thing where it's like drum line, like that's the snare drums, the bass drums, and these huge things called quads. It's insane. And I didn't want to do any of it. And I thankfully was put into like a section of the band that wasn't too prominent at the time. It's more for bands that go to like state competitions, which we did. And it's called the front ensemble, which is just kind of keyboard instruments, miscellaneous percussion things, but it's kind of in the net of percussion. So I qualified for that. And that was where I discovered just how much I love playing keyboard instruments. Like whether it be with like mallets or just piano in general. It is like, I remember the first time I did it, I was like, for about 2 years of my high school experience, I was on regular like percussion instruments and stuff, and I begged my band director to put me on a keyboard instrument the next year, and that was when I really started to fall in love with that stuff. So I probably would not like music nearly as much as I do now if it weren't for being forced into band. And I don't regret, because I hated band for the longest time until I really started to get into it. So I don't regret a single minute of all of that, all those years where it was like awful. Just so I could get to that moment where it's like, oh, I love this. And I want to get back into playing music. But like, you know how it is getting busy. But I would love to.
Right. Yeah. Well, for me, I was never like forced into doing anything.
Right.
But the thing was that whenever I went to my parents and said like, oh, I want to do this thing, unless it was like something really stupid or something like that, they were pretty much always like, yeah, of course. I mean, for starters, just telling my mom, hey, after high school, I want to go to film school. Just that, I know a lot of parents would be like, no, you're gonna go to med school or something like that, something that's more safe.
Yeah.
And just in general, like not telling their kids to go into something artistic, but instead, my mom has been seeing for years just how much I love to make. By that point, I've already been making videos for like 6-7 years, so she knew just how much I love that. She knew just how much I love movies, and it's like I never really had to tell her, Mom, this is what I want to do. Please accept that, because she always knew that this is what I was gonna do, and she was always fine with that. She was like, well, if it doesn't work, then you'll know it's not gonna work, but if you don't try it, then you'll never know, and you'll always sort of like regret that for the rest of your life.
exactly, yeah.
and you know
It
she didn't
was
want that for me, so that's great.
it was something similar with my parents, where it was like when I told my mom that's what I wanted to do, which I think I did like halfway through high school. I told her that I wanted to go to film school. She immediately
Right.
was like, "Oh yeah, that makes sense." She was like, "Yeah, that makes sense for what you
Yeah.
want to do." My dad though
Hmm.
took a little bit of convincing. He's totally cool with it now.
Right.
But like when I first told him, he's like, "I don't know if that's so safe." He's like, "I would love for you to be doing that stuff." Like he was never against me doing it at all. He was just against the idea initially of like going to film school. So it was like, I mean, I understand that completely. And for some people, it's not a good idea.
Yeah.
And it's hard. No, it's if this is the another like bit of like actual advice I can give to people. If you are considering going to film school, you better be really into it. You better really want like that better really be what you want to do with your life. Or like at least you better be passionate about it, because if you're not, it'll eat you alive. Like there have been times where I'm like where I'm like I am glad that I'm cool with all of this work that I have to do, because if I wasn't, I would be miserable. But yeah, I had a friend who is a bit younger than me. We were talking about it, and I'm like, and they're like, I want to go to film school like you do, and I'm like, do you like? I was like, first I was like, I'd love you to, but do you like this stuff? I'm like, this is a really big thing.
Yeah.
Choosing majors in college is scary though, so I understand just how I guess
Yeah.
how what's the word, like flippant people will be about it. Like the fact that
Yeah.
people change their majors all the time does not surprise me at all. Like it's I
Hmm.
I immediately was like, yeah, this if it's weird to me whenever I talk about this, because it's like when I always thought about, I remember it specifically was a train of thought I had in about like 8th grade, which is like the end of middle school for Americans. So it's like I remember it was like you get into high school and that's when you're gonna start actually like seriously thinking about this stuff. And so I started to think like, okay, is there anything practical, like any like normal careers that I would be even remotely interested? And it came out to no every time I thought about it. And
Yeah.
so
Hmm.
I settled on film school, and I'm like, yeah, I just don't think I would be happy doing literally anything else. So, it's a gamble.
Same.
It's a
Hmm.
gamble, and I think about the gamble every day. I I think about what I'm going to do in the next 2 years. I think about what my life's going to be like when I'm out of college every day. Uh, but even when I am a little bit scared of that, I'm like, yeah, I'm doing what I wanted to do, so I can't be that mad.
Hmm. Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but yeah.
I feel like I wanted to say something,
I
but I don't
assume
remember.
it's the same for you, at least in some
Yeah. Well.
capacity.
Yeah. It's like I always knew the first time there was ever a job that I was like, oh yeah, this is the job that I want to do, was when I want to say 7 or 8 years old. I've got a brother who's like 8 years older than me, who did, when he was in high school, I was in elementary school, and he did theater. And one time I went to to, to see a play that he made for his school, and I just remember seeing him on stage, and it was like just my brother who I'm used to seeing, and who's just like a normal teenager. But then I see him on stage, and he plays this totally different character, and I thought that was so cool. And I thought, yeah, that's it. I want to become an actor. And I ended up so I ended up doing theater a few years later, but I did theater for like pretty much all of high school. I think I did 4 years in total, and I had a lot of fun. No, 5 years. I had a lot of fun doing that. But the thing is that I noticed is towards the end, I would see the sort of like our I guess teacher or whatever who the guy who would direct the play, and I just saw him working on the more like creative part and the creation, creating the play and telling us what to do. And I saw him and I was like, yeah, this is what I want to do.
Mm-hmm.
And it has started before, like from watching. I think from the moment that I really heard, that I really understood what a director did, was when I was like, yeah, all right, that sounds like something that I really want to do. And ever since that, I've known that this is what I want to do.
Yeah, it's something similar here where like when I was a kid, the major thing I wanted to do with my life, I don't know. I always loved, my brother and I would do this a lot. We would we'd play pretend like that we were characters in some big story. And I always loved playing roles, but I always thought it was embarrassing to like actually do it.
Right.
So, and to a certain extent, I still think that. I am always genuinely embarrassed when I am in one of my friends' like short films or something like that. Even if I do a decent job, I just have that thought of like, oh, I don't like seeing myself like that. It's very strange.
Yeah.
And it's even okay. It's even somewhat embarrassing to admit this, but one of my favorite things about being on stream and playing games that don't exactly have voice acting, I love reading the dialogue because it makes me feel like I'm a storyteller. It's so fun. Like it.
Yeah. Oh,
I
absolutely get that.
Yeah, it's so much fun, and and like I said, it's embarrassing to admit it, but yeah, I like with Amori, I had such a good time reading that dialogue because it's such a well written game,
Right.
and I was like, yeah, it's just another aspect of everything that I love. But like one of my major moments where I knew that I wanted to be not just like, because what got me with being a film person in the beginning was I wanted to do just visuals. I wanted to be a cinematographer, and then I realized I wanted more than that. When I worked on school plays, I was for the longest time, for the majority of it, I was the sole sound person. Like I would be the only person working on the soundboard with the microphones and sound effects. And God, it felt good to like have a bunch of people listen to me like seriously, because that was the thing. Like when I was a kid, I would always try and just kind of blend in. I would always just kind of try to blend in, and then when I got older, it was like, yeah, I'll try and blend in more. But here was a place where it was like people, actually listened to me, and it was weird, but it also felt interesting, like to be able to have all these people and have like everything work out well the way I planned it. And that was something I was like, that's really good. I'm gonna be a director instead.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And obviously, editing is a thing I've always really enjoyed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What were some movies like movies that really got you into like, I want to do that? Are there any like that? Movies that made you think I want to do that?
The first time that I watched a movie and was immediately like, God, that is everything and like anything and everything that I've ever wanted to do, was when I first got into Wes Anderson's filmography. When okay, it was around the time Budapest came out, so I was 12.
All right.
And
Yeah,
myself
makes
and
sense. Yeah.
some of my dad, and some of his friends, we decided to get together. One night, he brought me along. We watched Grand Budapest Hotel, and I was like, Jesus, that's amazing. And then throughout like the next 2 months, we watched every Wes Anderson movie every Friday. And if we were to talk about erasing like your memory and wanting to relive an experience, some part of me wants to relive that experience of seeing those for the first time.
Yeah.
Because, God, I remember the first time I saw Royal Tenenbaums. That's why it's my favorite one. I remember I saw Royal Tenenbaums, and I was so moved by it that I was like, yeah, that's what I want to do forever. Like that's it. That's it right there.
Right.
But what were that to some of you? What were some of those to you?
I'm trying to think, but I think my answer really is just the obvious one. I think it was Harry Potter.
Yeah.
Because it's especially the last one. There is a scene in like the last one is my favorite of the 8 movies, and there's a scene in particular which is the have you seen the every Harry Potter movies?
Yeah, I saw them all when I was very little. It's been a while, but I
all right, I don't know if you remember that, but you know the character Neville Longbottom?
Yeah.
Yeah, right. There's a scene at the end where everyone thinks that Harry is dead, and Voldemort's all like, "Oh, I killed Harry Potter," and then Neville just does this speech, which out of nowhere is just such a powerful speech. And you've got all the music with it, and it's just such an epic moment. And then he pulls out his sword and says, "It's not over." And then you've got Harry, who just like comes back from the dead and just starts like shooting spells, and the whole scene. It's the first time I was like, all right, this is special.
Yeah, I remember
amazing.
the event that was like Deathly Hallows Part 2, because that was the only Harry Potter movie that I saw in theaters. And
same,
because I remember my brother and I were very much into it. We actually this is absolutely true. We dressed up as Harry and Ron, and we went to the theater to watch it at midnight, the night it came out.
Which one were you?
I was Ron, but in retrospect, I probably should have been Harry because I actually have a scar on my forehead.
Oh wow!
Yeah, I'm the boy who bonked my head as a child and lived. It's hard to see in this lighting, but I'll bring it up to the camera. Yeah, there it is. That's easier to see. Yeah.
But it's like I as a kid I would always watch a lot of movies, but in the end I would always watch the same ones, which were the Harry Potter movies, the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies, the live action Scooby-Doo movies, those types of movies.
Oh yeah.
And I've gotten very big nostalgic feelings over every single one of those movies. But I don't have anything as big as what I feel for Harry Potter.
I get that.
Any other movie. Yeah. It's like, and I'm not even sure why. I don't even know why Harry Potter so much, but it just, I said in the previous episode I mentioned how I recently rewatched every single one of those movies, because I do this once or twice every year, and I've been doing that since like 2015. Honestly, the first Harry Potter movie, I want to say I've seen it 20, maybe 30 times.
Wow.
It's at this point it might be an obsession, and I'm fine with that.
Hey man, that's fine.
Yeah. And honestly, like I'm right now I'm thinking about it, like why Harry Potter, and I could not tell you. I genuinely don't know.
I mean, I get it.
Yeah,
it's like
I'm sure if I think hard enough, I could find something. But right now, I got nothing.
Yeah, it's the same thing with me. Is like my brother and I would always just like kind of go through like movie series that we were like super into at the time. Like it was Harry Potter one like 2 year period. For a while, for a long while, it was Star Wars, obviously. I would say like the one franchise from when I was a kid that I still really love is the original Indiana Jones movies. Like I remember my stepdad was adamant about showing us those when we were kids, and I loved them. And I still really like Raiders of the Lost Ark, but I still need to rewatch the other ones. But
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of like other things when I was a kid. It's very strange to me that I've had like the same like basic taste in movies since I was like 12, because ever since I discovered Wes Anderson, that was it. There was no going back. Like that was like it's Wes Anderson right now. Soon is when I watched The Shining for the first time. Then there was like just weird movies one after the other, and it just kept getting weirder.
Yeah.
And then I got into foreign films. Oh, then it was different.
That's the point of no return.
Yeah, then everything changed. I have this it's not an argument, but it is a little like funny thing I talk about with my girlfriend all the time. She's like, "You watch all these weird movies." I'm like, "Yeah. It's because I love weird stuff."
Yeah.
The weirder I think the more bizarre you get with stuff, just it doesn't necessarily the weirder the better. That's not what I'm saying, but it's like I like it when people just like take their idea and go as far as they possibly can with it.
Yeah.
And especially if it's bizarre, and especially if it works.
It's I was thinking about that the other day, and it's funny how I've got like my tastes in terms of movies really have like 3 different timelines, which is like elementary school, middle school, and high school, and then college like right now. And in elementary school, it was those movies that I mentioned, the Harry Potters, the Spider-Man, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
High school, middle school was when I really started to be like, okay, yeah, I really like movies. When I started to call myself a cinephile, even though like I guess I was, but started watching movies like Forrest Gump was a big one. My dad really likes Shawshank, so he showed me that, and I really liked it. Those types of movies, the types of movies that you have to watch when you start to get really into movies. They're like the type I hate when people say that, but they're the type of movies that you have to watch if you want to consider yourself a cinephile.
Well, it's like there are a lot of movies.
I get it, but like
there's a lot of classics that I haven't seen. There's a lot of classics you probably haven't seen, but like a lot of it, a lot of like my past with movies and kind of like a good testament as to who I am today is like it wouldn't be the same if not for my dad and having him introduce all this stuff to me, because he was really like the genesis point for everything. It was like he showed me movies, he showed me TV shows, he showed me video games. Like he had me play Mario 64 DS, and that was a big thing. That was a big thing for me. He was the thing for music, pretty much. It was like a lot of the music that I listen to now I discovered on my own, but like there's obviously still remnants of what my dad showed me, and so it's like I think about it a lot, and I talk about it with him whenever I see him. It's like, man, yeah, I genuinely probably I would not be sitting here with this podcast if it weren't for the stuff that my dad introduced me to at such a young age.
Wow.
But I'm really happy with the way that everything turned out to get this podcast rolling. We haven't talked about it like since probably like the first episode, but how insane is it that like you and I just met on Reddit randomly?
I actually think about that a lot. Like it's I don't know. I will say this is like going to be the sweet awe moment of the podcast. I am very happy that you found my post, because that was I remember like there were like I think there was like a week from the moment where I had the idea to post on Reddit, and when I actually did, and it was a week where I was so scared that all the response I would get would be some people that were like half interested, and then I'd start a podcast and the other person would stop after like 2 or 3 episodes, and then I got your call, and I'm sure I told the story on the first episode, but
yeah,
to those who haven't seen that, pretty much the only reason besides the fact that you were a good fit, the only reason that I chose you was because you were the only one who actually answered to me. And you I asked, oh, send me your Discord, and you did. And then I called you, and then you answered back. But then, so I remember you remember the first call we got in together when we first met.
I was on my awful Chromebook, which I have sitting over on my bed. But like I was on that. I was in my hometown, just like hanging out with my parents for the weekend, and I'm like, I can call now. I remember it was very strange, because like the biggest okay, this is really funny. But my biggest thing at the time was I was worried. I wasn't exactly worried, but I was like, okay, how old is this guy gonna be? I was like,
I had the same thing.
Yeah, it was like, okay, am I gonna be doing this with like some random 40-year-old or something like that? Which would be interesting, no doubt. But I am glad.
Honestly, if you had answered and said, "Oh, I'm 40 years old," I would have immediately said, "Like, yeah, no, I'm 18 years old. That's weird."
Yeah,
and
it's
I'd assume that a lot of 40 years old would have been like, "Oh, yeah, that's weird. Goodbye."
Yeah. I'm glad that it was you. not only because obviously
it's like
not only because I like talking to you, but it's also like I'm glad that we're the same age, or like pretty much the same age.
Yeah, I mean, you're what, like 2002?
Yeah.
Yeah, 2003 for me, so it's basically the same thing. And like, I remember you told me your age, and I was like, oh, thank God.
Yeah, it was the same thing for me. Oh my God.
And no, I feel like, I don't know, from the moment where we did that first talk, Emily was like, all right, I'm not asking anyone else. This is the guy I'm looking for, because it was like, I actually remember that like on our first few calls, and even on the first few episodes, when you really when we were like starting to get to know each other, sometimes you would talk about something, and I'd be like, oh my God, I'm the same way about that thing, and that's that's really weird, but like I think we both got very lucky to like get together
lucky.
and it's like yeah.
And it's like I the moment I remember so clearly, I was like literally about to go to bed. I'm like, I'll hop on the Criterion subreddit for a little bit, and I was just I was looking around, and I saw your post, and I was like, oh, that sounds like fun. And I'm like, because like at that time, the only thing I was doing regarding like the internet or YouTube in general was I was like very, very sporadically like making shorts, and I thought that was gonna be all. And then you and I started talking into the podcast, and then that kind of helped me. It helped me kind of like get back into the mood of like, oh, you know what, I should get back out there and start doing more creative things more often.
Damn.
So I'm happy for how this all turned out.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like I had wanted to make a podcast for like actual, not necessarily years, but for a while. I knew that I wanted to make a podcast about movies, but like I never really knew anyone who was as much into movies as I was, and who wasn't too like. I did not know until I went to film school. I didn't know anyone who knew what the Criterion Collection was, and even in film school, I didn't know anyone who like, was the right type of person to make a podcast with. But yeah, but you know what? You know what I think is funny though is we're talking about this whole thing as if we'd been making that for years. This is our 21st episode.
It's only been like
it's been
a few months.
6 months.
Yeah, 6 months. It'll be a year before we know it. But
yeah, for sure. Oh man, can you imagine like the first anniversary of Movie Dudes?
Oh God.
This is crazy.
Yeah, it's absolutely crazy.
We gotta make something big.
We gotta do something big. Here's another big thing I noticed recently.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Let me look it up. I want to see like exactly where it's at right now. I forgot that when I go to Google and type in our name, that's not the thing that comes up. Let me go to YouTube. That's actually, here's the thing. When you look up Movie Dudes, just the words Movie Dudes on YouTube, we're the first podcast that comes up. So suck it. But,
hell yeah.
But I was talking with my friend the other day who does a lot of creative stuff too, and he's the one who did our overlay and our thumbnail style and everything. Is my friend Joe. He's a very, very, very good man. But him and I were talking, and he was like, I just randomly looked at your YouTube channel, or at Movie Dudes. One of the episodes is almost at 100 views.
Yeah, Perfect Blue episode.
It's Perfect Blue. Perfect Blue is absolutely going to be the first one to reach it. And that is so crazy.
Yeah, it's like, and I don't really get, because like, for the longest time, our like most viewed videos were pretty much like in chronological order. Like, our first episode was the most viewed video for so long, and then out of nowhere, Perfect Blue was just like, hello. And I honestly have no idea why.
It could be just like,
and like,
it's not that there's a lack of Perfect Blue content on the internet.
But yeah,
not a lot of podcasts have talked about it, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm trying to think of like other movies we've talked about that are like extremely niche. Mishima's one of them. Mishima's probably I would say like either
Mishima's niche. Yeah.
What's that? Yeah, I would say like Mishima and Solaris are probably like the most niche ones we've talked about.
Yeah. Run Lola Run is also one that is pretty.
That one's super niche. I just remembered that. Yeah,
that one's very neat. And the thing, for all of eternity, this movie is our first episode, which I think is just like, it really does show that we use the randomizer.
Oh yeah, it definitely shows.
No, I love Run Lola Run. It's a really good movie, but like, it would never be my first choice for a movie.
No, it really like. That was kind of my idea, or like that was kind of my mentality with randomly choosing or deciding to go randomizer for the first episode, because it's like you don't want to like spend too much time thinking about it when it's the beginning, I guess. Like if it's the beginning of something like this, let's just jump right in and start going. So I mean, I'm happy with it obviously, but it is nowhere near my favorite movie that we talked about.
No. But I remember when we were talking about like starting the podcast, at some point you were like, all right, so what should be our first movie? And I thought that we should start by what we ended up doing, which is make a pilot episode where we just talk about our favorite movies and a bunch of different stuff rather than one specific movie, because we would never find a single movie significant enough to be the first movie, and it wouldn't really make sense to start with like just a random movie. Yeah. So like I think this is one, like I want to give myself some credit for that. I think this is a really good idea.
Oh yeah, it's a fantastic idea to start with the pilot episode.
Thank you.
Um, but yeah, like there's so many movies. Like I probably would have never watched Harold and Maude if not for you. Like if I had not heard about it from you, I probably would have never even touched it.
Yeah.
Yeah, not from any like, not from any kind of like, because it's a great movie. It's not from anything like that. It's just legitimately like I wouldn't have watched it.
Yeah, which is interesting because it's like it, your favorite director is Wes Anderson, and it's got a very Wes Anderson
it's very
feel to
close.
it.
Yeah,
Very close. Yeah. Yeah, no, I think mine would be probably Run Lola Run. In terms of movies that I probably wouldn't have seen.
Yeah.
Well, to be fair, Solaris definitely would not have been my first Tarkovsky.
Oh yeah, that
Like,
was mine.
Yeah.
Purely because I loved how the cover looked. Like I remember, I was on Amazon just kind of like looking through Criterion, and I saw the Solaris cover, and I'm like, oh, I was like, that one looks good. But like, honestly, I think this is an interesting question. What do you think is like, I don't know. What do you think is like the episode that you're most happy with us making? Like not even in terms of how good the episode is, just like an episode that you're really happy with.
You know what? I've been thinking about that last week. I think maybe my favorite episode might be the Mishima one.
Mishima's
because I
close.
just thought, like, it's one of the episodes in terms of like how much fun I had shooting the episode, just with all our reactions to the Oscars nominations.
Oh yeah, that one's fantastic.
Me raging about Denis Villeneuve and you raging about Don't Look Up. I just like I'm talking as if it was like a while ago. It was last week.
Yeah, it was
like. Yeah,
it just I knew whenever the Oscar nominations would come out, I knew whatever episode that we talk about that would inevitably be one of my favorites.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
But in terms of my choice, there's episodes like Perfect Blue where like the movie itself is so close to my heart. Like I love that movie so much. But then there's also, I think, genuinely one of the episodes that I keep returning to, like even just to listen to fragments of is House. I think about that one a lot because no, House is genuinely probably like it's in like probably one of my favorite movies that we've talked about because I genuinely love how strange it is. But it's like I don't even know if like I particularly love the episode. I just love that we talked about it.
It is like kind of amazing that this happened to be our second episode, and I think we made it clear, like before we made that episode, we both made it clear very fast that we both love this movie.
Oh yeah, because that was another one of the Criterion movies that like I initially was like, yeah, I want to see that. Like when I first started getting into Criterion, I remember seeing that movie recommended or like it was it's because it's one of the big Criterion movies. It's one of the ones that's talked about a lot.
Oh, it absolutely is.
And I remember it being talked about, and I remember seeing it and going like, I'm like I want to see that.
I'm starting to think what actually made me want to watch it. I'm not even sure. I remember watching it was in Ethan Hawke's Closet Pics. He was with another guy. I'm not sure who he was, but that guy was like, you should watch it. It's like doing LSD without actually having to do LSD. And I thought, well, that sounds amazing. And I saw, kind of more that it was the type of very crazy Japanese movies that kind of feel like almost cliche. I thought like, oh, that's just really cool. Then I watched it on the Criterion channel and I was like, this is amazing. And I'm having such a blast watching this. And now, fuck, what who's the director?
Of House?
Of House. What's his name?
Nobuhiko Obayashi.
Nobuhiko, yeah. Since we've made that episode, like, I've been thinking of just how much I want to watch his other movies because he just seems like such.
I don't know if we talked about this or not, but I was able to snag a copy. It was a little pricey. It was like $50, but I knew I had to.
Yeah,
I snagged a copy.
You mentioned that.
I think I mentioned it to you. I don't know if I mentioned it on the podcast, but I snagged a copy
Maybe.
of his final film, Labyrinth of Cinema, which I still have yet to watch. I hate how many movies I own that I haven't seen. I really need to hunker down and watch all of them. But it was in buying Labyrinth of Cinema that I realized that so many of his movies are either completely or either like partially unavailable to like us in the West, other than illegal means, or they just aren't available at all, and are barely even available in Japan. And the fact that there's so many like that from this director that I think is so wholly unique is such a shame. And I really want to start up a project soon to try and collect as many of his movies as I can, because genuinely I think he's one of the more interesting directors from the era of, or just from Japan. I love Asian cinema a lot, but he's one of my favorites for sure.
Yeah, it's like when I first heard of Labyrinth of Cinema and I first heard like what it was about, I thought like, holy shit, this is gonna be the best movie I'm ever gonna see in my life.
Yeah.
And it's available. I was able to get a 3-month subscription to Mubi, and it's available there. So
is it? Very good.
I'm gonna try to watch it at some point. Because man, this is not a movie that like. This is not the type of movie that you'll see everywhere.
Yeah.
It's like the movie that that I tried to watch at some point, but that I had a lot of trouble finding was Suspiria by Dario Argento.
That
I've heard so many people talking about just how amazing it is, and I'm a massive fan of like colored lights, so just for that I feel like I had to see it. And then a few months ago I couldn't find it anywhere, so I just went like fuck it, and I saw something else. But one day
it's it's a big like thing I've always had in terms of like how I guess view the entire situation of watching movies through other means is if the original company hasn't made it available through any means that I can purchase or stream, or even like buy a DVD of it out somewhere, then I feel like you should be within your own rights to be able to find it your own way. Obviously, piracy is not cool, but also, what else are you gonna do?
Right.
Yeah, it's still the whole thing with like emulation and of like old games is that a lot of them don't exist anymore except for emulation.
Yeah. How the fuck do you want me to play Mother 3 besides emulation?
Yeah, Nintendo. How?
Yeah.
Oh my god. Can we talk about that for a second with that Nintendo Direct? Oh my god.
For fuck's sake.
I remember I was sitting there with my friend, and I'm like, there's no way it's Mother 3 stuff coming. And then we saw like Earthbound, and I was like, okay. And then Earthbound Beginnings, I was like, ain't no way. And then it didn't happen.
I
was like, oh.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
There was a moment, I remember, what was it? I had a dream. This is true. I had a dream like, I think last night, where Nintendo revealed Mother 3. Like, that's a real dream I had.
All right.
That's how much it
God.
invades my subconscious. So Nintendo, if you don't want people to pirate your games
Yeah.
and emulate them, I don't know what else to say.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
that's.
like people aren't just gonna be like, all right, well, I guess I'm not playing this amazing game.
Oh yeah, they're gonna find a way, Nintendo.
It's-
You could at least give them that way.
They're gonna, yeah.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
yeah. Well,
If you,
it's
yeah,
a whole thing.
you can. It's like it is so weird how it feels like they don't want to acknowledge that this game exists,
Yeah,
and it's so weird.
yeah. Here's one situation where like even if it's
Yeah.
like the only legal way to watch it, I'm not gonna do it. Is for newer movies that are hard to go see in theaters that go up on rent that go up on like streaming services to rent for $20. That is insane. Like recently with the new Joaquin Phoenix movie, Come On, Come On. In America, it was only available for like I think a month for renting for $20. And like I looked at it and went, that's not gonna happen. And then
Yeah.
and then like literally today when I was watching her, I was like, wait, what about that Come On movie? Like is that out yet? And yes, you can rent it for about $5, which is extremely reasonable. So
Yeah.
I will try and watch that very soon.
Yeah, I've
Yeah.
heard a lot of good stuff about it.
Oh yeah, same here. It's like
But,
one of my
yeah.
friends. It's like one of my friends' favorite movies of last year. So I really got to see it.
But
But
yeah. It's also the same thing with like there is kind of a feel of like, for example, if you take Disney and MCU movies, it's like if you steal, I've heard someone say it and I kind of agree with it, which is like if you steal from massive corporations, it's not actually stealing, which it's
they're
framed
not.
kind of like in an extreme way, but
It's still stealing, but
it's stealing.
what are
but
they? Yeah, but what are they? What are they gonna lose?
Why would they care? What are they gonna lose? One person who doesn't give them like $10? I'm sorry, Jeff Bezos.
Oh God! But I remember So, there was, oh God, what was it? A couple of years ago. This was during COVID. A friend of mine got really into pirating games, and that was the only time that like I've ever like kind of like been involved with anything piracy related that I was ever like, you know what? I don't think I agree with this, because it was partially that, but also partially like these are multi-million-dollar companies and nothing is like really going to be different if like someone pirates it. But like, you know, when it comes to here's something though. When it comes to foreign film or any other kind of like game, album, you know, movie or anything like that that's like new or that's like, you know, very independently produced, I will never pirate that. That is always something that I will spend my money on, because you know that money matters.
It's like was the same thing with like shops. It's like if you steal something from Walmart, they're never even gonna notice.
Yeah.
But if you steal something from a small shop, this could actually impact them.
Yeah, if you steal something from a corner store, you're an asshole.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
But like,
yeah.
there okay, there's a piracy situation going on like right now, and that is with the new Kanye West album, Donda 2, in which I don't know if you know, but Kanye has released a little gadget called a stem player, where you're given the isolated stems of the vocals, the instrumentals, and and the drums and like the bass and everything, and you with this little gadget are allowed to like separate all that and like kind of make your own remix the track. It's a neat little thing.
This is
but
really cool. This is
no,
really
yeah,
cool.
It's a really cool gadget, or like a little toy. I don't know what else to call it. It's a tool. You can make your own stuff with it. It's really cool.
Yeah.
But what Kanye's decided to do is he's releasing his new album exclusively for download on his stem player. So unless you own a stem player, which is about $200, you cannot listen to his album legally. And as a Kanye West fan, I'm not buying it, but I'm gonna listen to that album.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not even gonna get into how. I'm just going to.
Yeah.
But like, there's been times in the past
especially music, like.
Oh yeah. Like, there's been times in the past where like pirating music has been a big thing. I guarantee you, this is gonna be like the most pirated album in the last like 10 years. There's no way.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's like, when the internet started, that was a massive thing when the music industry hadn't adapted to the internet yet, and there was the whole like, you wouldn't steal a car type of thing.
Oh yeah. What was the band that tried to sue Napster? Was it Metallica?
Maybe.
I think it might have been.
I don't remember. That does sound familiar. So
Yeah,
I'm gonna
I
say that
remember-
you're right.
I'm pretty sure it was Metallica. Like, But I
That makes
remember
sense in
that
my
was a
head,
big
yeah.
thing back then because it was like, oh man, it was like
Yeah.
Metallica suing Napster. What's gonna happen?
Yeah. And then, iTunes arrived and Spotify arrived as well. And now we've got like so many different platforms to listen to music to. And now you've got this thing where people are kind of starting to. We mentioned that in the previous episode, but there was the whole Spotify thing.
With Joe Rogan and artists like Neil Young pulling out. That kind of thing has died down.
Yeah.
I really thought it was going to be I really thought there was only going to be like two outcomes, with one of them being like people are going to pull out or no one's going to care in a month. And here we are.
Yeah.
Nobody cares.
Here we are. Well, to be fair, they have deleted like quite a lot of episodes of the Joe Rogan podcast.
Oh, they have, yeah.
Yeah.
Which I am never an advocate for lost media. Like even if it's stuff that
it's not lost media though.
Yeah, like I'm sure some people have like uploads of it. So, as long as
it's not even that, it's on YouTube.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah, it's still on YouTube. So
I thought he deleted those ones, but apparently not.
I don't.
Oh well.
I have no idea about that. So maybe that's what I said is not correct, but I have no idea. So, but yeah, it's the only reason why I would agree to like be mad against Spotify is how much they. Like how little they pay the artist, which is really fucking stupid. Because without the artist, they would not exist. Bad. It's really bad. And I'm glad that I don't have, like, I feel like if I had a massive following and I was actually making music as a living, that would bother me a lot more because that would be like specifically about me. But
yeah,
now I'm glad that I don't have to rely on Spotify paying me like, 0.00001 cent a listen.
Which there's something I didn't mention, which is the reason why Kanye is making his album exclusive to his stem player is because of the poor rates that he's paid through streaming services, which is a decent idea. But
yeah, but
it's like it's a decent idea, but it's like if you really wanted to go independent with it, why don't you just sell the MP3 files on your website or something like that?
Yeah.
Don't
sell the MP3.
Don't put it
what
behind,
people did back in 2010.
Yeah. Don't put it behind a $200 paywall. That's ridiculous.
This is stupid. Yeah.
Yeah, literally like 1% of people are going to do that. And then the other 99% are going to pirate it.
Yeah.
You could have made a lot of money.
The people
like obviously he's making a lot of money with the purchases of the stem player. But he could have made a lot of money as well with just putting the album up.
Probably could have made a lot more money from just selling the
I would have bought it. I would have done
it. Yeah. And you're definitely not alone.
Exactly, yeah.
Like, yeah. I mean, I feel like the people who are actually going to buy the stem player are either very rich or very stupid or both. Probably both.
Well, like when the stem player initially released, I remember I saw it. I'm like, that's kind of cool. I'm like, that's a cool thing. Like if he ever drops the price or something, I might consider it. Like it's a neat little gadget. I don't think I'd ever buy it for.
Yeah.
I don't think I'd ever buy it for anything less than $100. But you know, I remember I've been seeing people who've been buying it specifically for the album, and obviously the album didn't come out on the 22nd because of course it didn't because it's Kanye. But yeah, it's. I think the world of streaming is probably going to change a little bit within the next couple of years with like just kind of the rates. I hope it does at least.
Well, it's, you've got like, I mean, obviously when streaming started, you had Netflix and you had a few others. Then around like 2019, 2020, you had the whole craze where every single company and their moms were making their own streaming service.
Oh yeah.
And and now I feel like it's kind of starting to die down a bit.
It is.
I feel like within a couple of years, if we can live in a world where we have like 3 different streaming services, that'll be great.
Yeah.
I mean, like we're very lucky in Canada because we have this amazing creation of humans that is called Crave.
Yes,
which
you talked about that before.
Yeah, which for those who don't know is a mix of Hulu and HBO Max and a few other streaming services that aren't available here. So, if I want to watch Dune or if I want to watch like Euphoria or those types of shows, just use Crave. It's all there. It's all there.
I think the only for people in America, I think the only necessary streaming services are HBO Max and Netflix, and maybe Hulu.
Yeah,
if you want it, and Disney Plus. Disney Plus is really good, especially if you have a kid. Oh my god, the amount of times
if you have a kid,
forget about it. I remember my little cousin comes over to my dad's house a lot. And literally every time she's there, they just put on like something on Disney Plus, and they just hang out. It's like, God, that would have been insane when I was a kid. I don't think I could have even comprehended it.
Oh,
yeah,
I would have loved Disney Plus. Holy shit!
Oh my God, yeah, I would have watched stuff all the time.
Best.
Maybe it's good.
Dude,
maybe
just imagine.
Maybe it's good that we didn't have streaming services. I feel like we wouldn't have gotten anything done.
Kinda, yeah.
Just knowing the kind of person that I am. I don't know.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, honestly, like, screw the Disney Pixar movies. Just the fact that it's a place where you can watch every single Simpsons episode, like in HD.
I took so much advantage of that my first year of college, dude.
Yeah, dude. Oh yeah, same. Like just watching. Like this is something that I do like every Halloween since Disney Plus has come out, which is for all of October. I just watch every single Treehouse of Horror because they're like my favorite episodes.
Oh yeah, I watched at least like the first 12. I have season. Oh, what seasons do I have on DVD? I think I have like seasons 1 through 15. I have a good bit of them because my dad and I used to collect a lot of DVDs. But that was what I used before, and it's like now I'm glad that like even if those DVDs like don't work anymore, I'm glad that I have like a reliable way to watch it. Same thing with Futurama now, because most of Futurama's on Hulu, I'm pretty sure, or all of it is. But I still have my old DVDs because that was what I watched growing up. That's why I'm such a big physical media guy still. Like literally today I went out to my local like used video store and I bought a Blu-ray of Her just because I wanted it. I wanted to have a regular copy of it. Well, I mean, one, so I didn't have to rent it again, like I did the first time I watched it. But yeah, it's just good to have. But yeah, I had
Yeah. Got like I'm very happy to have like pretty good I'd say pretty good Blu-ray collection,
Oh yeah, same here.
which I'm looking at right now, and I'm like, that's
I
nice.
do. Oh my
That's
god,
nice to
every
see.
day. Every day I look over it and I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah. Same thing with my record collection.
Yeah.
I've been
Oh, I wish I had one.
I've been building up my record collection since like 2017. I stopped for like 2 years, but then I recently got into like more artists, and I'm like, well, I gotta get some records from them. But yeah, it's been growing. I had to buy a shelf recently because I wanted an actual place to put them all instead of crates.
Ooh,
But yeah, it looks real nice.
it's nice. I'd love to have a record player, but I don't have the room. So
Oh, I get it.
one
yeah.
day,
One day.
one day.
Well, whenever you do, ask me, and I'll tell you exactly what you need to get. Because I've been in this game for a while.
for sure. Awesome.
Yeah, and I got a lot of
There's
friends
like-
who are too, so I can ask them.
There's like this this Phil Collins record set, which is like an album that he made, which is like just a compilation of his biggest classics,
Yeah.
and the record for that is like massive, and there's like
Cool.
three or four different like discs.
Oh
And
my god.
I'm a massive Phil Collins fan, so like, this is like the thing that I want to have.
The biggest record set I have is, I have the original soundtrack from Persona 5, and it's 4 records.
Yo,
I am so lucky to have it,
dude,
and I have the.
it's
They recently did pressings of the entire, like every Persona game. They did a pressing of every main Persona game soundtrack. I couldn't afford all of them, but I was
man.
able to pick up Persona 4, and that's coming later this year. So I'm very, very happy about that.
that's so cool.
But yeah,
If I were to have any video game soundtrack, and specifically records, it would be Persona 5 because it just got the vibe.
it is the most it's the most vibiest soundtrack, which
Man, it is one of my favorite soundtracks of all time.
oh yeah, which in terms of other, I guess, recent announcements, Persona 5 Royal and Persona 5 Strikers soundtracks finally got onto Spotify, so I'm very, very happy about that.
Ooh,
And other streaming services too,
cool.
not just Spotify.
Yeah, not just Spotify.
Yeah, so if
Yeah.
you use Apple Music, there you go.
Yeah.
Oh boy. So do we? We've been going for a while. Do we?
We've been yeah.
Do, do we want to get into next week's movie?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess so. You know what's funny is like this week, so I don't know if you saw that on my letterbox, but this week I actually watched Don't Look Up.
Oh,
So
you did?
and
Yeah, I
I
did
thought
see
like
that.
yeah,
forgot
and
to
I
bring
thought
that
like,
up.
oh, the episodes we're gonna spend so much time like talking about Don't Look Up, but we're probably gonna end up talking about that next week.
Let's save that for next week. I would love to talk
Yeah.
about that awful movie.
I have stuff to say about it. Yeah,
Very
for
good.
sure.
Oh god, that's gonna be great. Oh
Oh, that's gonna be a fun conversation.
god.
That's gonna be
Tune-
for next.
Tune in next time.
All right, so I just remember that I'm the one using the randomizer this time. So hold on, let me.
I get it.
I completely forgot. Hold on. Where is my? There it is. All right, and the movie we are going to talk about next week, and I'm saying that with a massive smile on my face,
Oh.
is Scott Pilgrim versus the World.
Whoa.
Fuck yeah.
Oh wow.
So this is going to be our first time talking about Edgar Wright, my favorite movie from him.
So
Yeah.
here's a little fun thing. So recently, for Christmas, I was gifted from my friend all of his copies, because he didn't want them anymore, of the original Scott Pilgrim versus the World series. So I have all of those, and now that I know we're going to talk about it, I might try to read all of them before next episode.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to try and read all of them.
I think I might try to read them as well.
Yeah, just like I did with Silent Voice. So it might be a bigger conversation, since that'll be part of it. And I've also never seen Scott Pilgrim versus the World. So
dude,
that will also be part of the I don't know.
Why would you do that to yourself and spend so much time without watching it?
I have no idea. I still haven't seen any of the Cornetto trilogy either. So
dude, well, that's going to be an episode of its own, though.
Of course. I have the Cornetto trilogy. I don't even know why I haven't watched it. Like, I own it.
Well, what the fuck's your excuse then?
I don't know. There's so many movies I have that I haven't seen, and I hate it.
Yeah.
That'll change soon. Scott Pilgrim versus the World next week.
Hell yeah. I'm so happy about that one.
Well, thank you, everybody, for watching. This has been Movie Dudes. You can like and subscribe if you like what you heard. You can follow us on our respective social medias, Letterboxd, Twitter, YouTube, and Twitch, which is all going to be in the description. You can also listen to this podcast on Spotify and YouTube. Apple Music, probably coming soon. I've been trying to get that set up, maybe. But have a good rest of your night or day whenever you're listening to this. Bye-bye.
Bye.